Life is so kind. Mm. Mm. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, beautiful souls. It's Katerina Satori coming to you with the topic of comfortable with uncertainty. So, as always, I'm going to take a few seconds to allow more people to join. This is a very powerful conversation, and um, my intention is to share with you a very practical approach how to live a life free from anxiety about the future, about your achievements, anxiety about anything that tends to show up. So welcome. Good to see. I see my neighbor is here. He's ready. Oh my goodness. So this topic arose today when I was supporting one of my personal clients who was going through an anxiety turbulence. And it doesn't matter how successful you are, how happy you feel at times, and how many resources you have at hand. There comes a time where you feel irrationally anxious about the future, right? It just arises from the body. And I wanted to offer you my number one mindset tool and the number one book that I go to, and whatever else comes through, just something very practical that you can take on and apply to your life. So, hello, I see you, darlings. Thank you so much for joining. I love this definition of an anxiety that comes from Robin Sharma. Anxiety is the is a anticipation of future failure in the present moment. So anxiety is anticipation of future failure in the present moment. That simple definition always supports me whenever I feel anxious, whenever there's something comes up, like a sense of turbulence in my body. Everything that comes up that I may call unpleasant sensation, I don't even call it negative feeling, unpleasant sensation. For me, it's always a sign that I lost my perspective in the moment. And this unpleasant sensation is bringing my attention and helping me to redirect my focus. So, if anxiety is a future anticipation of failure in the present moment, what it tells me is that I lost my focus. And instead of projecting my life energy and choosing from a quantum soup of a universe, quantum universe, I'm choosing a possibility that guarantees my failure. Because as an anxiety, I project that beam. I call that quantum version of my reality towards myself. Instead, I can celebrate myself for recognizing the pattern. I got it. Just right now, I notice my anxious state. I am anticipating failure. What would be a loving thing for me to do right now? Right? Well, probably some kind of a self-parenting ritual, soothing your nervous system, reminding yourself that you got you, right? And shifting towards curiosity. Curiosity always helps me. And I say, what if I learned something incredibly liberating through this experience? So I show up and I step into unknown experience driven simply by curiosity, and reminding myself that every experience is a success because every experience is rich in wisdom. So I can never fail, right? Failure is simply imagination of a frightened mind. So that's the first premise. That's the first idea, right? How you're receiving this, darlings, because it's so practical, right? It's so easy, and especially if you work with people, my duty is to help people think differently, right? So when an anxiety comes up, and anxiety is a very physical sensation, very physical sensation. So the more we stay with the feeling instead of pretending it's not there, right? So many people right now live in a chronically anxious state. They fall asleep in an anxiety, they wake up in an anxiety, they go through the day in an anxiety. So what do you think their creative mind is always barely operating? They're staying in survival, and you can't really create anything new from a place of survival. So seeing this energy in a new way and reminding yourself that it's a very physical experience. You find your body, and you tell your body that it's safe. This moment your body is safe. And I'm very literal, darlings. The moment I begin talking to my body, as my body is this beautiful, beautiful organism that has its own intelligence, that holds fears, that holds dreams, that holds memories. So when I'm caught in a projecting about a future that doesn't even exist, I get to soothe and comfort my body and remind my body that it's safe. This moment, it's safe. And then from the place of restored equilibrium, I can talk to my inner being. We can call it soul. Recently, I've been playing with this word, inner being. I can talk to my inner being, and I say, inner being, show me the most direct path towards what I desire to create, towards my ideal outcome. And then I listen. I listen. And maybe an image flashes by, maybe a thought comes by, maybe a sensation comes by. So it takes this inner process, inner journeying, moment by moment. Yes, yes. Thank you, Tony. An anxiety is an anticipation of future failure in the present moment. And a second tool that I wanted to offer you, darlings, that an anxiety tends to arise where we think that we're not fully supported in life. Let me know if you ever had that experience. And I had to face this head on the path of entrepreneurship. And one of the reasons I love this path of creating your own life and being an entrepreneur and building a sovereign life, a prosperous life, is because it forced me to face every single deeply buried anxiety in my body. And at first, when I didn't have the tools, it was frightening and overwhelming. And when I would learn the tools and try them on and experiment with them, I would find my way. I would find my ground again. And I would navigate this experience with much more presence and clarity and curiosity. So the second tool is that every resource we ever require can only be found in the now. Resource can be found in the now. This is a direct quote from the oldest book of changes, I Ching, and it's a gate 48. And it goes like this: resource available in the now. And I've been in contemplation of this simple phrase, right? Resource available in the now. It's 4 words. And I looked back and I realized it's absolutely truth. Every resource required for my life always shows up in the now. It never comes from the future. It cannot be found in the past. It can only arise in the now. And if I find a way to soothe my body and to remind my body that it's safe, that I am able to see and to recognize a resource that is probably right in front of me. But I cannot recognize opportunity or resources that are in front of me if I cannot stay in the now. I anticipate the future failure, being anxious, right? And all my presence is leaking out into anticipation of something bad. So it's a moment by moment experience, my loves, moment by moment experience, and it's this deep realization that a spiritual warrior or a spiritual light worker is the one who is deeply comfortable with uncertainty. You know, spiritual light worker is in deep acceptance that he or she will never know what's going to happen next. And eventually you realize you don't need to know, because the less you know, the more magic you allow. I wake up every day and I say I have this phrase. I am so excited that I don't know how today is going to go. I am living in the field of infinite possibilities. You know, like a child, always available to be surprised by life, always available to be in awe. And since I operate in a human body, I still have this human vehicle. At times, at times, I will experience unpleasant sensation that some people call anxiety. And I know it's a friend. It shows me that I lost my perspective and I know how to come back to my center. So let me know if this resonates with you. It's so simple, right? It's so simple. But a lot of times, you know, darlings, I work with high performing business owners, entrepreneurs, attorneys, tech CEOs, people who have a ton of pressure on their shoulders. And you know, their number one on anxiety, it's very, very the same across every field. It's an anxiety that they will drop the ball, that they will not deliver on their responsibility. And they're being so hard on themselves. And they expect that failure, that they inevitably manifest that failure in one way or another. So, my way of rebalancing them is first reassuring them that it's okay, you know, and then saying, hey, find your ground and then take yourself off the hook. Take yourself off the hook. And another saying that I say before I go to bed every night is this: what have been done needed to be done today. What hasn't been done didn't need to be done today. In this lays a peace of mind. You know, darlings, in the past, I would be so obsessively hard on myself for not accomplishing something on my to-do list by the end of my day. And now I say, what I have accomplished today is precisely what the universe wanted to accomplish through me today. It's the best news ever. It's the best job ever, right? And then I wake up tomorrow and I say, it's the best news that I have no idea what's going to happen today. And moment by moment, I ask Spirit to guide me and to use me in the name, to utilize me and my talents and my skills in the service of humanity. So it's a beautiful way to move through your reality. It will require commitment to spaciousness. You know? Commitment to spaciousness, commitment to listening to your inner being, and constantly giving your body reassurance that whatever is left unaccomplished on your massive to-do list did not need to be accomplished today. How beautiful and how liberating is that? Yes, it's so oh, I love it. I love it. Yes, darlings, I brought you a book, my favorite book. It is by Pema Chodron. The book is Comfortable with Uncertainty. It's a small book. It's really not that big, but it's so simple and it's so profound. And what I love about her perspective is that, she just busts the bubble of what a lot of people enlightenment is. A lot of people think enlightenment is leaving behind your attachments, your unpure desires, and climbing this Mount Everest of spirituality, right? And when you climb, you transcend the duality and become at one with divinity, or some version of that. I love her perspective, which I find to be so, so deeply true. A true enlightenment is going off the mountain into the depths of life, merging with life, merging towards doubt, merging towards an anxiety, merging towards the fear, right? Merging towards your inner being and unlayering all these protection layers, protection against life, protection against uncertainty of life, and becoming more and willing to be exposed, exposed to unknown, exposed to magic, right? One of the things that I love about living in my house is that I don't have any neighbors on the left side. There's a house that been under construction for the last 15 years. So construction workers show up, once every 2 months and do some, little building. But basically, I don't have any neighbors. My favorite thing in the world, darlings, is to wake up and get my naked self outside on my patio and feel that fall breeze on my body. And I also, this is kind of like a devotional moment for me because I see myself putting myself open and naked and vulnerable towards life, and take it as a metaphor. This is a true illumination of the soul, and a true embodied awakening is where you go and you merge with your life, with uncertainty of life, inherent uncertainty of life, and you begin to become fascinated by every single unpleasant sensation that is arising in your body. You begin to welcome it, you begin to dance with it, and you begin to say thank you, because every unpleasant sensation helps you see where you lost your perspective and where you lost your rapport with life. And ultimately, darling, everything that shows up, I see it's either helping me to become more intimate with life, or it reveals me where I still lack deep trust in the flow of life. Absolutely everything. And an anxiety is a future anticipation of failure in the present moment, as we've covered. This understanding liberated me, liberated me, because there are so many, there can be so many fears, The fears come up about your performance, about delivering on your assignments, on your responsibility. And my mantra is, I did my best, I let go of the rest. Everything I do, imperfect on purpose. And it's so liberating, to take that layer after layer, taking the layer of perfectionism, taking the layer of being hard on yourself. And every layer that gets in the way from experiencing raw, wild mystery of life. I remove the layers and I want to feel life on my naked soul, on my naked body, because that is an exquisite way to live, fearless merging with the moment. That's what I'm discovering, darlings. It is so beautiful and it's so liberating. And I recommend for you this book. It's by Pema Chodron. She is a Buddhist nun. She writes so simple. She is my inspiration for writing. How simple and how profound. And there was this one phrase that I wanted to read you. A warrior accepts that we can never know what will happen to us next. The truth is that we can never avoid uncertainty. This not knowing is the part of the adventure. Yeah. So training like a spiritual warrior that is not afraid of doubt, is not afraid of anxiety, and who is courageous to embrace those sensations and to see a deeper meaning in them. And who is also courageous to know when enough is enough. And, to lay down the lists, because what I'm observing, darlings, our to-do lists can only grow longer. Is it right? And the great piece that I'm discovering is how can I um, bring my creations through the slow harmony, not how fast I can create it, but how much more, hmm, how much more serenity frequency can I infuse with the next creation of mine. And that makes all the difference, because people feel the frequency of everything you create and every job you bring to the world. I love you, darlings. Thank you so much for joining. Do you have any questions for me? Because I feel complete on this topic, just a tiny little bit, right? But this was a big, big contemplation for me, is that resource available in the now. This comes directly from I Ching, and it's a hexagram 48, my favorite. Resource available in the now. Huge epiphany for me, even in the past, when I would be like calling in resources from imaginary future, I drop that. I don't call in resources. I open my eyes to the resources that are available in the now. They always in the now. They always in the now. Sometimes my vision is blurred with an anxiety about imaginary future. And if I can cleanse my eyes, right? And I can talk to my inner being. And my inner being always got me in helping me see with clear vision. Then I open my eyes and I see the resource that I've been calling in. It's been right there in front of me. So in that lays the peace, the deep, deep peace. I definitely deeply believe we don't need any more anxious leaders. That's not the vibration that will move humanity forward. It's leadership. When leadership is rooted in this deep sense of trust in the intelligence of life, it is a very, very very potent guidance that comes from a leader who knows how to trust life, and definitely who is not afraid of uncertainty. And until then, it still is my practice every time I alchemize a pattern of fear, a pattern of anxiety, I celebrate that moment, and I invite you to do the same. May it be your win of the day. You found your way back to your inner being, and maybe that's your win. So I love you, darlings. Thank you for the gift of your presence. I will share this live stream on my YouTube. And so feel free to share it with your community if you found it useful. Always a joy to connect and share with you these practical, very, very practical tools. So you live your life with this beautiful freedom of knowing that you can trust life, and life will never let you down. It will surprise you 100%. But there is always going to be that net, that loving grace that will catch you, and you can trust that. I love you.